From the back roads to the Broadway shows, from the hollers to where the rivers flow. Let's ride. We want to ride shotgun with you for the next hour. Talkin Truckin with Dean and Doty, Christian and Kumar, Joel and Austin, Ian on the trucking news, and as always, the highwayman. What's going on, everybody?
Hello.
What's up, Russ?
What's up?
Yeah,
We're back.
we're back. I missed last week, but half of our show was in Montana, so
That's right.
we couldn't pull it off. Joel said,
No,
Christian,
me and Ian did the show. You owe about $300 to
You mean you mean Russ, right? You don't mean me.
yeah.
No, yeah, Russ.
So one thing that was really funny, when I was in Billings the week before you guys were, I kept telling Tina, man, half the people out here are 7 feet tall.
Giants.
Giants.
Sasquatches. everywhere.
And then Joel texted me after Christian, you and your dad were at the hotel, and
Yeah.
Joel's like, Christian and his dad fit right in. They're giants just like everybody else.
So my dad is so amazed with everything out west. And he goes out there, he's like, this is like the land of cowboys, just muscles and tattoos and guns. I love it.
That's funny.
No, but that is for real about Montana's being giant. We were at a bar over there in Billings, and every guy that walked by, Joel and Austin, I would look at each other like, "Oh man, do not want to mess with him either."
Yeah.
they just
me and
kept
Joel and
coming.
Austin and Kumar are all the same, basically. We don't fit in.
Yeah.
I know.
In other words, if we go to a bar, we get into a fight, I'm on the other guy's team.
Yeah. Same thing. Honestly, the same thing happened to us after we left Billings, because we went up north by Glacier, and we were having dinner at this like pub place to watch a football game one night. And I mean, literally, these guys are coming in. They're 7 feet tall. And Tina, I'm looking at her. I'm like, how tall is that dude? And she's like, please don't ask him, because I will.
But
Yeah.
even in the Billings office, I mean, there's just probably like 20,
There's some tall
25
dudes.
guys
Yeah.
in there,
NBA lineup.
and there's 3 of them that are, or 2 of them that are 6'8", and one of them that's 7 foot.
So the 7-footer, I forget his name, but he works
Sam.
over there by Grizz.
Yes,
I think it's
that's
Shaq.
Sam.
I'm pretty
Yeah, I was
sure I
gonna
didn't
say
get the whole,
Shaquille
didn't get the whole
O'Neal
name, but I think it was
So
Shaquille.
soon as we got there that Monday morning, I was over by Trish. I was setting my stuff up. Tina was getting set up, and he walks over to me and he said, "Hey, can you help me out, Russ, with a rate?" And I just looked up at him like this, and that's exactly what I did. And I said, "How tall are you? Can you help me with that?" He was like, 7 foot. It was funny, but I had a great time.
Family.
Yeah, I had a great time. Some really great people up there we got to hang out with. I've been there before. Several people have been to our office. Christian, we've seen him at some people at events that we've had over the years with Metal Arc.
Agent Summits. Yep.
Yeah, but to see the people that you don't see at those events and be able to spend a little time with them was really great.
Took me 4 days to put a face to a name.
Yeah.
Oh, you're.
I know. There's people I work with for the last 5 years, and I keep walking past them just waving. And then finally someone came up and hugged me, and she's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Kim Hart." And I'm like, "Oh."
It's great if they just say Kim or like Mary, like you're like, wait a minute, which one? But
Yeah.
it's funny. I was on
Brittany
the way out. I
who?
had an Uber come in. Grizz walked next to the door. So I'm Grizz, and I say, well, that's an easy name. I got you.
Right.
Like, Aaron Pohl walks by next. He says, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" He's like, and I thought he said Eric. Okay, so
Yeah.
I get deaf when there's noise going around, doors open, and Dad's there, and it's like Eric. I'm like, who the heck is Eric? Like it's just went through my head, and I say, "Hey, great to meet you." And the picture of him online, I mean, he must have gone to the gym a good bit because he's a bit more
No,
buff
it's
and less
very
fluffy.
different.
He looks
Yeah.
different. I
And
agree.
he wears those glasses too.
Where's the glasses? Yeah, absolutely. So I walk out the door. It's like, Dad, I don't know who Eric is. He goes, "That's Aaron." I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah." I'm an idiot. So
Yeah, that's great.
he only helped me on the phone the day before, but that's fine. Yeah.
Right. Well, this week on Talkin Truckin, I really missed the show last week. I text Christian today. It's show day. It's showtime. Let's go.
Yeah.
I've been excited all day since I woke up. It's good to be back. And today we're going to talk a little bit about negotiating on spot freight. Joel, have you ever negotiated on a spot market load?
All right, I'm to the point where I'm begging now. Don't do it.
That's great.
Drive
Sounds
company.
about like all of us.
Yeah. And we try and stay within our customers and bounce between customer lanes, but inevitably you're going to do it. Christian's done it a million times. So is Doty, myself, everybody on the show. So we're going to talk, and everybody has a different way of doing things. So, drivers, if you've booked a load or negotiated on a spot market load before, please feel free to chime in. Trucking news with Ian. Trucking questions with Kumar. See if our drivers our highwaymen can beat Kumar in questions about trucking. Kumar has only been in the trucking industry for a year, and collectively, highwaymen, what are we looking at? You guys probably 130, 50 years collectively in the business. So you guys should
Jim, you can answer that one.
That's what Jim by himself.
Jim makes up 3/4 of that.
Jim's got 40 of them. So I know that between Ray, Nate, Kevin, and Creech, who else is on it?
I got 20 years on it.
There's 60 right there. So
I've got 20 years.
7.
there's 80, 87. Yeah, see? So you guys should be beating him every week. I know he reads a lot. He's a smart young man, but we should
Still
be.
haven't learned anything, so.
I'll take, so I'll take the drivers.
Yeah, and if
Go
it
ahead.
makes any difference, I'm learning every day on this show too. I'm learning every day.
That's good. We all are. I mean, I love coming together, and sometimes we talk about things, and it's something that Christian brings up or you bring up, Ray, that I didn't even think about. So that's the fun part of it.
You got a good question.
But trucking questions with Kumar. We hope Joel has some good questions.
I hope so too.
And
Joel, you
possibly-
had 4 weeks to prepare 5 questions. I hope they're really good.
possibly a few jokes in between. Wide world of sports, so we can update our drivers that are out there on the road and don't always get a chance to see what's going on in sports. Joel will give you a quick rundown on football, baseball, basketball, and a little NASCAR.
Yeah.
So with that,
Next week.
Ian, are you ready?
I am ready.
What's going on in the trucking news?
Oh man, this has got to be the dullest past couple weeks of trucking news I have ever seen. I'm not joking. They're saving it all for next year, I think. But we'll hop into it here. We got Love's has opened their 600th store. I know that's you guys' favorite place out there on the road besides some of those small mom and pop stops.
Ian,
they are now at 600.
Christian, every time he doesn't have a lot of time to prepare, that's what he says.
I was going to say the same thing.
No, I was-
Damn it,
Okay,
Ian, you have Google.
today, for real, I was looking through these stories. I'm like, damn, I just saw this like from forever ago. Like, why is it still on here? So
There's
it's slow.
nothing today.
Thank you, Kumar. Thank you.
I'll say it.
I don't
do
know.
that for me.
That's
But
a
no,
little
that is a good
suspect.
excuse that I've used before, and now it's biting me in the butt apparently.
Mhm.
But over here, I was surprised they got RV hookups. How many Loves have RV hookups and dump stations?
A lot
I can
of
tell
them.
you, there
Quite a few
actually,
of them.
That's
I've
awesome.
learned since I've been in the RV for a month now.
Mhm.
There are some. I didn't hook up at any, but there are some Loves that came up on my RV GPS, and also the Ohio Turnpike. The
Mhm.
big rest areas there.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I used to park at those all the time. They have a whole section for RVs with full
Really?
hookups. Yeah, and it's cheap. So
That's awesome. I don't see many other places doing it besides Loves. They're the only ones that really seem to somewhat care about drivers and their customers.
They love you.
They loves you. All right. Oh man, this was a big one. Huge recall on Kenworths and new Peterbilts. They're saying that there's 76,000 that they're going to recall. Luckily, though, they suspect it only is going to affect 1% of the recalled vehicles. But there is some kind of software that the FMCSA has said is not good. So they have to get all those back through. This is 2022, 2023 Kenworths and Peterbilts. You're going to have to be going through and get that checked out. So what it is, something with a control display and transmission shift lever sequence, starter interlock, and transmission braking effect. So obviously that can be quite detrimental if that's not working properly. So if you do have one of those, get in there, get it checked out, make sure it's not your vehicle.
So are they going to notify the buyers
yeah,
or
yeah.
owners of the
They-
just like they do in a car?
Yeah, they send out letters to the owners and get it all figured out.
Was it the 22s only?
2022, 2023.
22s,
As well.
23s. Yeah.
Go figure.
Right.
So maybe they'll get to that while they've got mine in the shop.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Drop the price.
This
Yeah,
is
the
something-
old gauge is never broke. I don't know if anybody knows that, but the new digital kind do. But go ahead, we'll go on to the next news story. Piece of
This-
crap.
This is really cool. I would like to see more states do this. Automated variable speed limits out in Wyoming are going to starting on some of their roads. So this is something that as weather changes and as traffic changes, they are going to use computers to figure out the best possible speed for that, or safest speed. As weather and other things take into effect, or emergency vehicles, they have an override for that as well. But what do you guys think about this? I can think of some places that this would be useful here in Ohio, just because with the number of cars going through Akron, Canton on certain times, you need to fluctuate that. But what do you guys think about this?
I swear it's
A lot of the major cities I'm already seeing those get implemented in, and then you've got sections of 81 and 85 that have it almost for like a 100-mile stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I
So-
like them because
Go ahead,
yeah,
Ray.
I like those because my camera doesn't pick up those digital speed limits.
That's another plus.
It was.
No, you know what? A lot of
glitched,
guys probably need that, man. I was always the snow and wind. were
So is that
probably
when it
two
changes, Mike? Is
Worst
it
things.
when there's conditions that call for you to slow down? So it
Yeah,
automatically.
depending on where it is.
Yeah.
You're not have to really worry about that in Miami. But when it comes to traffic, it could definitely come into play.
Yeah, it is a good idea, especially where weather changes frequently. I mean, Wyoming is a perfect place, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you
I
always
like
got guys
weather, yeah.
in that type of weather blowing past you. You know what I mean? You're like, man.
Yeah.
Now, call me a
snow and
conspiracy
wind
theorist.
always scared me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, call me a
conspiracy
conspiracy theorist, but we're an anti-government guy. But who's patrolling to make sure we're not setting up speed traps and that we have some sort of level of accountability for what the speed actually was during that time?
That
Is there a log?
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, because the driver's license is our resume in transportation. So if we screw that up or somebody
Right.
screws with it, then it's a problem.
Right.
Looks like we got Alex Jones on the podcast.
Okay,
Christian, that is
I don't get
that
paid
is a
for this,
very
and
good
I'm not
question.
going to take that from you. What's that?
So that is a very good question. I would imagine that there is a log for that, but how accessible that is to somebody who's fighting a ticket,
Right.
who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
you got some DOT officer plugged into the mainframe of that thing.
Yeah, if I can't look, if I can't look at
Behind
the
a tree.
speed and if I can't look at the speed inside the trooper's car, I don't think they're going to give me that either. So, but
I gotta think that's only going to change during, weather.
Inclement
That's what I
I
was
could
thinking.
also see it being
Inclement
used in
weather.
traffic in a situation.
Traffic, maybe,
Let's
but-
say there's a stoppage,
An
10
accident up
miles
ahead.
in front
Up
of you.
ahead.
And
Right.
and instead of having traffic race at 80 miles an hour the whole way there just to make a big blockage, you slow down in front of that, give time to let it clear up in front of you. That's something I can think of, but it might not
but
work.
it's
like
all
that.
good. It's all good and fine. But how many of these cars out here are actually going to pay attention to it?
yeah,
Will it update with
you
your
see it
GPS?
just like today, going around
It
Atlanta.
would-
I had
Would need to,
65, then it went to 55, 45, then 35. I'm obeying the speed limit. It's like I'm walking down the road and everybody else is flying by me.
Mhm.
I for one, almost never look at the signs because I'm using a GPS when I'm going on longer trips. So it's always got in a little corner what the posted speed limit is. So if that GPS isn't accurate, I could blow
Yeah.
past the sign.
yeah, you're right.
you
The
know?
You
GPS
might
is
have to
running
start
this
paying
table
attention
sign.
while you're driving.
So the
Yeah, but why
GPS.
did they put the speed limit sign on the map if I can't follow it?
If you're using like a Google Maps GPS, that probably would be updated because it's
I
continuous.
I don't
can't
think
see
they're
that
gonna push
happening
that
out
data.
until the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're
would
going to
have
push
to-
that data. What I really want to see is when you get through an accident to see like 95 on it, because it's like
Yes. Open it back up.
it's like NASCAR when you get out, just open it up, just throttle down, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. All right. Oh, this is something we had talked about recently. Iowa DOT urges truckers to park at scale houses, promises no inspections or waking drivers. What do you guys think?
Somebody's tire came on.
I think we need
No
to
inspection.
we need to see a fine print on
Promises
there.
made, promises broken.
Exactly.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned that. I think several people have on the show before. That was one of my biggest fears on the road. I'd pass up a scale house that was closed just because I didn't want to be hassled the next morning and risk an inspection that I didn't need, or, I did. So I would avoid it because they will make you go through the scale, at least a scale. And then if they want to pull you in and inspect you or whatever they can. So
I don't know why you guys are such conspiracy theorists. I think we should give Iowa DOT the benefit of the doubt.
Here he goes.
No,
all right,
no,
Christian, we're sending your drivers first to sleep over there, see what happens.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's not bad if you don't got to roll back through the scale, but I know what you're saying, Russ. Some of those you park, and then when you wake up to leave, you have to roll back by there, and they don't care if you were parked.
The only way out is to loop back around.
Yeah, most of them are like that.
Yeah, this could just be some virtue signaling just to say, hey, look at what we're doing for drivers.
Yeah, it's probably like in the fine print.
And I really appreciate them watching our show.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to lose all those Iowa DOT inspectors.
Probably says like within the first 5 minutes, you won't get hassled.
Yeah, are they the ones putting the thumbs down on all our videos?
Well, let's see. And Jim Mackey, you go to Iowa a lot. That's where your mom lives, so maybe you can park there one night and see if they leave you alone.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to do that.
He's not gonna be a test dummy. We got another Iowa story here. This is I forget what city exactly, but this was Iowa DOT that caught this guy here.
Iowa man.
Let's see if I can get back. Oh, I got all the way back around.
Did he sleep on the property?
Check that out. They said that this is not a legal way to move trucks.
Seems totally legit to me.
Rusty Tacoma on the back here hanging on.
Oh, that part isn't legal, right?
Oh yeah.
That would have been better if they put like a little tiny car on top of the Tacoma.
Back.
There's just a tire underneath there, and then look, that frame is just broken.
It's chained to the It's chained to the mud flat.
That reminds me of the guy that put the car in the
night. Had he just spent the night at that scale house, he could have gotten away with it because their promises are word.
A four-way connection. That's unorthodox.
That's
a good Yankee engineering.
Oh wow.
So was he using the Blazer or sport utility for taillight purposes or what?
The little Tacoma off the back of the Toyota pickup.
Roller skates.
I doubt there were any lights.
He drove back home after he dropped all those trucks at the junkyard.
Yeah, they're all.
The only vehicle that had working lights on it.
By the way, guys, is that a Tacoma or a Forerunner? I guess
it is. It is a.
It looks like a
95 Toyota pickup, probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but before the Tacoma had its name Tacoma, just called the pickup. It also says that the driver was unlicensed.
Oh my god!
No way.
I used to do that.
Man.
This reminds me of that story that you showed like 5 weeks ago with the U-Haul that had the car that was just driven up in the back of it.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you gotta get it from A to B no matter what. Wow. Oh, all right.
So we're trying to top the last story.
There's the infrastructure.
Yep. Here we go. They are planning on putting a bunch of electric semi chargers between Los Angeles and El Paso. It's really going to suck for those trucks that get out to El Paso and they need to keep going east. I'll tell you that.
No, I've said for years that's going to be the first corridor that has electric trucks running from the port to some warehouse in Phoenix or Texas, and then they're just running freight like that, and then it goes out from Texas,
from that area.
Phoenix,
and that absolutely makes sense. Being California, that's where they're going to have it. And, they're probably going to do it going up towards Oregon as well. Not that too much freight goes in between there, but I imagine that's gonna be the next one. These trucks they got here are cool. They got like the Tron colors on them.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna be using COM data for that.
Is that grill solar? Anybody know? I don't do a lot of research on that.
Oh yeah, this grill looks like no air can get through there, so that's like all electric. Wow.
Yeah, what happens when everything goes electric and then it costs you $500 to recharge your truck and they start charging you that?
Well, you better have an oil well on your property.
Yep, they better put a coal plant right next door to that
generator.
Does it say if that was used with grant money or if it was just the corridor is paying for it through the interstate?
All right, terawatt.
Did you hear that, Ian?
Who's
paying?
Yeah.
Who's paying?
Yeah. Obviously, I think we just confirmed that Russ that he doesn't research this. He just I got 5 minutes.
How many solar panels can you fit on one 53-foot dry van?
Not enough to make it go 600 miles a day.
I don't see it in here, Christian.
No.
But
Okay. Cool.
No. Well, probably our tax dollars.
Clickbait. Yep.
I have 2 solar panels on top of my RV, so if we don't have we haven't had to use it, but it won't. If I turn it on and try and run things, the only thing it's going to run is your phone chargers, stuff like that. Because the other day or last week, I unplugged the electric. Tina didn't know it yet. We were getting ready to move, and it automatically switches to the solar power. And she was on her laptop working on loads. And all of a sudden, her laptop and her other screen went out. And I walked back in. She goes, "Did you turn the power off? My screens went out." So it won't even run that with 2 solar panels up there.
Wow.
Huh.
Need to get 4 more.
Yeah, apparently.
And then last day we got here, Utah's already complaining about crashes. So please slow down in Utah. Russ, I hope you didn't cause one of these when you came through. But they had down by St. George. They had 5 crashes involving semis, pickups. And
so let me tell you, so I got here before that storm, and on the weekend, Friday, after work, because we're on Eastern time, but out here at 2:30, we're done working. So we went hiking. I sent you some pictures, a bunch of you guys. And then Saturday, we went hiking again. And then we got back Saturday, and the weather, it was like 80 degrees. And then the weather just turned, all of a sudden, it turned really bad. We hunkered down in the RV. I felt like we were going to get blown over. It was sleeting, snowing, raining. The wind was incredible.
Put him on the drop line.
And then all day Sunday, it did that. They had closed the road from, I think, I-70 going up into Colorado. We're south of that, but all the way through Utah. And it was a bad storm. And I heard they did close other roads, like down in like I-15 going down towards the southwest corner of Utah. So yeah, that was a rough storm. Luckily I was parked, but yeah, it was pretty wild. We couldn't sleep all night because it was blowing so hard. It was just shaking the RV, and the dogs, they usually sleep in their crate. I mean, my big dog was breaking out of her crate, so we had to let them out, and they were scared to death. So they were in our bed, of course. But
I got one more thing here. Hold on, let me get back on here. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let's go.
3,
What?
4,
Oh, no.
5.
That's not safe, guys. Don't do that.
But that guy has a better idea than the other guy. I mean, he's strapped the hood down.
There's somebody in there.
Oh man. Don't you just wish you could see some of that going down the road sometimes?
do you see what it says there? How many loads did this guy book?
Is that what it says?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, my
Man.
God.
He's got that Texan ingenuity.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully
Man,
next week they really.
I was trying to add up the weight.
Desperate times, desperate
many
times,
axles are
desperate
over?
measures. Trying to get as much money as possible.
That is a DOT officer's
Yeah.
dream right there.
Can you
Seeing
imagine
that.
When the
Passing that.
brokers refuse to negotiate, I'm just gonna haul twice as much.
There's a partial for you.
So is that all you got, Ian?
That's all I got. Like I said, hopefully next week they really get the news going, and we can get a lot more out there.
Yeah. So you got to cut out early, right?
Yes, I have a very important
Okay.
appointment I got to get to.
Excellent. I bet you do.
Doesn't get his
Yeah,
hair
sure.
washed.
This is excellent.
All
You guys really want to know?
Ian, we'll talk to you next week, Ian, and St.
All
Jude's
right.
appreciate you.
Yeah. And your kind donation.
I thought it was donating to St. Dudes.
No, it's not some dudes.
So if you don't know, we've been
not this time.
Yeah, since what was it, Labor Day? I think we started collecting our questions with Kumar, the trucking questions with Kumar. The winner, or I'm sorry, the loser pays to our pot, and it's also been a lot of little bets around the show. We've done a really good job this year. I'm not exactly sure where we're at. Kumar can update us next week or whatever, but
Yeah.
we're doing a great job for St. Jude's. And we'll reach out right before Christmas, collect it up, and then have that. The same guy, I forgot his name, but he's was a patient at St. Jude's when he was a child, and he was cured. I guess that's the word for it. And then he became like the director there or something. Was on our show last year. It was really good. They were real happy with all the drivers and the support that we gave them. So that's cool. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, just please leave me something on my paycheck this week. I know you're giving a lot to them, but last week kind of, hurt.
Yeah.
I think we should do a different contest. We did the beard one last year.
Yeah.
I think we do like the crazy cuts, like crazy haircuts, and we have it end on Christmas Eve. And whoever loses has to go through the holidays with the haircut.
With the haircut.
Yeah, with the haircut.
What if someone
I
can't
don't have any hair.
keep walking around? Like last year when I dyed my beard blue, I gave up, so I had to pay. So what if I?
Oh, there is no quitting, Russ.
So if you
no
quit,
quitting.
you just have to pay.
No, if you quit, you just keep the haircut. Period. So it keeps everybody going in it, right?
Yeah. Mike doesn't have a lot of hair. Mike keeps his really
So
short.
I could, do some funky haircut and then just cut it normal and it'd be gone.
Joel, you could do the Hogan. You could get the Fu Man with just the hair in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wear a wig.
Yep.
All right.
Bandana. Yep.
So I'm good with that. Christian, put it together and I'll do it. So negotiating spot freight. Doty, you do it every day. You got to get a back haul to a customer load or something like that, or a front haul to get somewhere. What are some of the things that go through your mind when a guy picks up the phone and you're asking him about a load? What are some of the things? I know with me, I usually like to hear the details, and then I ask them where they want to be. I try and get them to give me a number. What are some of the things that go through your mind when you're going through those calls, Mike?
I try to get, it depends. I kind of listen to them, but I try to get a number first most of the time, I think. Unless if they ask me where I want to be, I'll go through the normal, where's it going? What's the commodity weight, and certain places, grocery distributions, you know what I mean? I can target, oh man, it's going to Target, I got to be here, loads like, loads that are more of a pain in the butt than other loads, you know them after booking them for so long. So you use that type of stuff, for negotiating in your favor. Yeah. And those brokers for the most part know their customers can be a pain too. So with those, you can get more money on, the weight I try to use to my advantage to negotiate more money.
Those are all key things, same here, those are key things that give you a little edge to say, hey, this is why I'm justifying, you're justifying your number when it's going to be higher than theirs. I do the same.
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah, and knowing the market, where it's going, if that market turned, like right now, Memphis and Little Rock is usually a decent market. It's been terrible.
Yeah.
I've had real trouble getting guys out of there. So you use that to your advantage when negotiating and knowing where the market that it's going to.
And when the market turns, I know Christian, Mike, Joel, everyone, you guys have experienced this. Right when the market turns, they're not going to act like it turned. They're not going to tell you it turned where their load's going. They're going to play it like, it's a good market, So you have to really know when you're going, do your research when you're going into a market, knowing what you're getting yourself into. And I know you do that, Christian.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, Christian, that you think about when you're on that phone call? In general.
Yeah, I think the most important piece of advice that we can have for guys that are in the spot market, whether you're just getting yourself moved after customer freight or you're managing a fleet, is cultivate a relationship with a single individual, right? You're going to need to get some depth on the bench, but call the same person. And I mean, it sounds ridiculous. And the 3-letter brokers that we talk about, not so much with their 6-digit extension, but pretty much every other broker. And Russ, you know, some of the relationships we have, just like you have, Schneider and others. You call, you give them your list of trucks, and you go through every load. And what I do is I almost nag them so much that they know they're going to spend 4 hours on the phone with me, and they're going to get 400 phone calls a day about my freight. I make sure that there's ones that they went on when I know that I'm going into an area and they need margins if they're getting paid on their book. But a lot of times I really don't care. Coyote does a great job. I know we have a different rep on one side of the authority than the other. But, you know, I've had great relationships with a lot of their agents. Molo's the same way. Echo Global, there's a lot of guys out there that you can cultivate single relationships with real people that actually care about your truck, because it also affects their pocket. So when the market is up, you build those relationships. So when it's down, they still put in those rates. If you go to coyote.com or JB Hunt's, you know, app, you're going to get $800-900 rates. You're going to get $1,200 to $1,500 rates when you're on the phone, because they'll know the truck. I mean, if I'm close on a rate, if I'm off $200 and they're saying, well, man, they're just not going to go, I'll tell them, hey, Jeff, pick up the phone and give them a call. Let them know my guy speaks English. Let them know he's empty now. You know, he can handle 45.5, even though low weighs 30,000 pounds or something. Your shipper's wrong, right? Continue to sell your truck to that individual and make sure that you're talking to the same or the couple same individuals each time. If you're just blind calling and you're doing a one-off each time, you're not building that relationship. Another piece of advice would be when you're calling for a piece of freight and you don't know the individual, you know, they say, hey, this is Marcy, how can I help you, right? You go through all the load details, like Mike said, you try not to show your hand first. If they ask, you know, what's your rate? You say, hang on 1 second, I'm getting it together. And then you say, well, what are you guys showing? Right. And the biggest thing is you start with a really big global picture, because you never know what they have in it. If they tell you got 1,500 in it and it's a bad rate, it's a bad season, they still have $2,800 in it. You know, most times if they're in contracted freight and they're a decent broker, right? But remember their name. You know, the number one rule in sales is when they tell you your name, make sure you realize it. So when I go to say, hang on, let me check with my boss, or, you know, let me see what I can do. Or she goes off to check and say, okay, all right, Nancy. And or you say, okay, hey, that was Nancy, right? Just something to gain a personal connection. It sounds small, but I'll tell you, if you use someone's name and you connect with them on a personal level and make jokes with them, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a better rate.
Well, they want to work with you at that point. You know, you're befriending them, and that's important. That even that little bit of small talk that you do, if it's someone you know on the phone, I'll do it. You know, I keep it to a minimum, but I'll do it to build that relationship. And one thing you said, Christian, about working with the same person as much as possible.
Yeah,
it's so much better. If you see, let's say, if you got somebody at JB or Schneider or wherever, and you see something on their board, and someone else goes to snag it, you know, it's going to be one lower number. Yep. But if you call the guy that you call every day and you say, hey, I got Ray Nieto on this load. He's empty. He's 30 to 50, 100 miles, whatever it is away. You know, our guy at those places knows that driver. Yep. He knows he's going to take care of his load. And that's a selling point. You can squeeze them more. So that's a really good point. And that's something I've always tried to do as well.
I mean, that's what I was going to say too.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry. No,
go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead. No, I agree with you 100% on that, because that's exactly what I was going to say. A lot of times the how you say the quality of the driver is a big sell, because, you know, and if I have issues, sometimes I'll communicate with the broker directly, let them know if there's an issue, whatever, you know, but what I've always told other drivers that I've talked to is, like, let it be that whoever you're driving for, whoever this broker is, they can go home on a Friday night knowing that you're going to be there on a Monday morning, already delivered by the time they come back to work. You know, if that broker can go home and not worry about these loads, you've sold yourself to them. And and you know, that's the way I look at it. You know, and we've actually, over the years, we've promoted broker agents up to higher positions that we don't even work with them no more, because they've done so well in sales. And I'm proud to say that a lot of our truck drivers have been involved in their promotions, you know, and which is a good thing.
Yeah, and you know that happens when they have a problem that they can't get the people under them to solve, and they still light your cell phone up, or they call your office and they say, "Hey," and you're right. There, everything is an upsell, even in a higher market, right? I mean, guys are, "Oh, this is great. I'm above market." But you look at, if a guy's hard on $50, close them. Hey, look, man, how about $50 to deliver on time? If your guy's late, right, and the number one thing is when we post, when the comments, I don't just post my number or ready now. I'll post full hours, veteran driver, speaks English, will macro point. So you want to end up, those things are important. And I'm not discriminating against those that don't speak English very well, right? But from a brokerage standpoint, they want to make sure that their customer isn't having problems on either end. They want to make sure that they have communication and updates. Let them know that they do macro point. And Russ, to your point, when they're using the same driver and they put Ray's name in there and perhaps it's CH or someone else that they have Project 44, they're scored on that stuff from their corporate side to make sure that they are doing their due diligence and using the same driver. So yeah, it's good.
They are. One thing I can tell you, so I've booked Ray, and I don't book every load for Ray. Austin does a lot of it now, but over the last decade, I've booked Ray a ton of times. And one thing from the beginning, years ago, when Ray and I first started working together, I'd book a load, put it on him, a spot market load. And then the next thing I know, I see, because he's an owner operator. I provided all the information my staff did with the Raycon. So he has all that, emails, etc. We're still doing updates, but all of a sudden when Ray picks up the load, I'll see an email chain with me in it, the broker in it, and Ray in it, and our staff in it, and he's letting them know I arrived this time, I'm departing at this time. Yep. No one told him to do that. Ray's been doing that since I've known him for, like I said, for a decade, probably longer. He's been driving for 20 years. That is gold for a broker, that if you have to use a broker, and then when you go back to that broker and you say, hey, the first thing I do when I call somebody that knows us, I got Ray for you. And then
even if it's not Ray, you're saying it, right?
I'm telling him every time. I got Ray.
I got somebody else for you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had to slip seat him. No, but if it's Ray and I'm working on him, I usually 9 times out of 10 I'm trying to get somebody we know, because they'll pay. They know he's going to do what he's got to do, and they know the communication is going to be excellent. And I know, listen, drivers, you don't have to do that, but you're only going to be paid, and you're only going to be as good as the things you do like that.
I'm telling you, you should do it. Your owner operators, step up and start doing your job. How about that? You guys are all business owners and
right.
and run your own stuff.
We can only give the example. I'm giving the example of someone who does it great. I'm not saying that Kevin, Nate, Jim, Creech, I'm not saying you guys don't do that. I'm sure you do some of those things, but I don't really book you guys much. I have in the past with Jim. Jim and I go back quite a ways, but Jim's great with communication. But yeah, that's just one thing. It's a good piece of advice for any owner operator out there. Just because you have a dispatch team or somebody behind you, over communication is always good. Don't ever think it's not.
Well, and there's larger consequences to that. As technology and automation developed with Carrier 411 and Safer Watch, right? You have safer score issues. So, a bad report on a DOT inspection affects your company for 2 years, right? Well, 3 years, 2 for the driver, 3 on the company. But then you also end up having the piece that on Carrier 411, if you're a dispatcher that's working for a company and you like to book and bounce or book and look, that's going to hit a Carrier 411, right? If you're a driver with a poor attitude who just says it'll get there when it gets there, it makes our lives more difficult. When we go to look for freight, if we have 100% of the pool, we can look to maximize your profit. If we start having, driver complaints and things like that hit it, it doesn't have to be double brokering. If they just know that, oh, well, his driver delivered late again, this is the 3rd time and we've blackballed him. If I'm a broker reading that, I'm thinking, I don't want to pay a good rate on that because I might get cut from my customer, because customers do cut your rates on service as well, depending on your contract. But I would say, everyone says don't take the first rate. I don't take the second rate. Seldomly, I don't take the third rate. If he says, well, I've got 800 in it, I'm going to say, how close to 1550 can you get? If I say 1550, they'll say no thanks and hang up. If you leave in a form of a question, how close can you get to 1500? They're thinking, well, man, I might be able to give them down to 9950. I'm thinking I'll go to 11. But you're starting off so high, and as you're negotiating, you can say, look, man, I start off at $1,500, and that's not bad for this market, right? Even regardless if it is or isn't, right? They don't know any different.
One
And-
thing,
and
Christian,
it-
on that note, Christian, when they tell me they got 800 in it, I usually say it really nice, but typically I'll tell them it really doesn't matter to me what you got in it, because I know what I've ran this lane for $3,000 in the in the past, but that doesn't really matter to you either. So
Right.
let's figure out where we can meet. I'll do things like that, because whether they're lying to you or not, and they probably are, it really doesn't matter. This is a whole new loan, or a new lane, or I'm sorry, a new load. And a new day, and a new market. So
and I never really get into, and this is probably just a style difference. I never say, I don't care how much you have in it. I don't say that. I'm saying that when I give them a rate that's blasting through the ceiling, right? Because what I want to do is I want them to get closer and closer. So when they say, no, I can't do that. I can do 950. I'll say, okay, hang on. And then you give an awkward pause, because then they're thinking you're thinking about it, right? I can do 1275. And then I say, that's about the best I got. If I've got $200 worth of room, I'm still saying that. He's like, well, can you do 1200? I'm $75 from where I need to be. Right. And then I'll come back a second time. I said, man, I can do 1250, but it's a take it or leave it situation. If they say, no, I can't do it, I say, hang on 1 second. And then Brian and I play this game. We all play this game in the office. Hey, Brian, he can do 12. He can't do 1275. Should I take it? I'm nodding my head, yes or no. Right. And is it a game? Absolutely. It's no different than playing at a blackjack or a craps table, right? Whether the odds are in your favor or not, a lot of it's on your approach. But never take the first rate, never take the second rate. Continues, because if you look at, $100 a week, that's $5,200 a year, right? I mean, you start doing the real math here. I'm sorry. It's not times 50, it's 520, but on a 5 week. So you look at $5,000 a year and all you're doing is having a conversation for it. It's the best money you can make.
Well, it's so important. And, I know we do it. Mike, you do it. My guys in our office, we've always done it. That extra $20, $30 at the end of a negotiation, I'm always trying to squeeze for, hey, can you help me out with another $30 or $50? Because you're right. It does add up. If you consider how many loads you run a week, a month, a year, it adds up if you can get that little extra piece. And you know what? Anyone can afford $30 if they want you and your good truck to move their freight.
Absolutely.
So I saved that.
And
one
that's where
for
those relationships come in too, is getting that extra 50 or $100. A lot of those carrier reps too, they don't make money. Some of them anyway. I don't want to say a lot, but they don't make a percentage. In other words, so like a carrier rep, you go to a carrier. I don't know if Burke does it, but say for example, you go to him with your rate. He's just taking that rate back to the seller in Schneider, right? But he's selling it for you. Like, I know these guys. I know Ray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want this rate. It's a good carrier, great driver. You know what I mean?
Right.
So because you have that relationship, they're already selling it for you.
Yeah. And Mike, you're right. There are different styles of brokerage. Some are paid on a percentage of their net margin. Some of them are just paid $10 a book, right? So the more trucks they can book, the better. So they want to put on your truck just as bad.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're graded on the quality of trucks and drivers they put on it. So just like you said with Burke, when he goes to the seller and says, I've got, Ray's in their system. They know he's 100% on time. There's no issues. They're going to take that truck over, 99 out of 100 times. They're going to take that truck and pay more for it.
There's another thing with that.
Absolutely.
There's
Go
a
ahead,
lot of
Austin.
times that I book a load with people that I know, and I'll say, what offers have been put in and what's been rejected, and they'll say, oh well, the most recent rejected was say 1,800 on, whatever the load was, and we're like, well, will they give it to me for 1,800? And I have gotten it for what they rejected it from other carriers.
Right. So Austin, now imagine that exact same approach, and you're absolutely right. And you do your homework, but put 1950 on that rate.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because what will happen is I say, well, we have a second 18, we might get a 16 to come along. And I do that a lot when I have a rate and they say, well, hey, and they do the same thing. Look, they just rejected 1,000. They rejected a 1,200. I say, good, put another 14 in there. The higher that they think the market's going and later in the day, the more likely they are to say, okay, fine, I'll take an 1150 rate from you. Right. Because time is not their friend unless they can roll over. If they have customers, they can roll. They're not set appointments. There are no penalties. But a majority of freight up until this post-warehouse filled pandemic was they needed the product and they need it now. But yeah, that's a great point.
It really is. So Kevin, Nate, you guys have booked freight. Creech, you got some input here. Let me know what you think.
I actually completely agree with all of this. One of the whole thing about making connections at these brokers. Not only do I have extensions, but I've got the personal cell numbers of several brokers at Fitzmark, Molo, and JB Hunt and Landstar that call me on a regular basis. Hey, you in the area? I can't count how many times I've had them call me and I got a load instead of me looking.
Mike Doty is the king of that. When he used to drive, he would go to an area and sit there and post his truck and just make them call. And you were really
I posted my truck when I was driving, so they would just call me while I was rolling.
Yeah, and you were a master.
It works in a good market, in a good area. Yeah. It doesn't always work, but yeah, it worked for me really well. You know what? Building these relationships, though, what's funny is going back to when I first started booking myself. I forget what broker it was, but anyway, thought I was building this good relationship. Like he was just it was like one broker that was just running me, and I didn't know anything about the market or the rates or what they should be. I had an idea, you know what I mean? But I was like, oh, this is, great. And then when I realized kind of the market and what I should have been getting, I was like, oh, hold on. Yeah. And I don't think I've worked with them since.
Well, another thing, Christian, that Mike had to battle when he first started out booking himself with us, I'd send him to Maine and then say, go ahead, book yourself after he got there.
Nice. Was it not? That's very kind of you. Yeah.
I remember one time I sent him to Reno. No, it was Sparks. And I think it was good money going in, Mike, but I think he sat there for 4 days trying to book himself out.
That's like the hey buddy pass by a quarterback. If you want to watch your receiver get blasted, you throw it up so he gets smacked.
Well, Mike, education isn't free. So you should see what my son's college bills are at Ohio State. So, but no, I didn't really do it to you on purpose. But yeah, these are great points. Kevin, Nate, you there?
I mean, I agree with all of it. I mean, it took me a long time when I first started trying to book loads. I didn't understand it for the longest time, and I never really knew. I would hit them high, but I wouldn't hit them as high as I should have. And I got shafted on a bunch of loads doing this. Not having anybody to fall back on or ask questions, just kind of going out there and doing it. So,
the best way to learn is by doing it.
It is.
Well, that is true.
Well, and the tools have come a long way, Kevin. You look at, 7 years ago, I mean, DAT rate view wasn't existing. I mean, up until 3-4 months ago, you had to log in and log in again. It's like, technology is not kept up with the swing of the market, but it is getting better, right? I mean, there are freight waves and tender rejections and all the other things that we have that's information we didn't have. It was like, okay, what are my costs? What's my budget? And yeah, this works. And then if you got somewhere that it didn't, you'd get gun shy to ever go there again.
Well, it took me a while to figure out that you can't always pay for the cheapest thing out there to try to book loads with. Sometimes you got to spend a little bit more money so you can actually see what all's going on out there.
That's a great point. And yeah, a lot of guys go with the $60 or $80 version versus the $150, but it's costing them $200 a day.
Or I've seen a lot of drivers that only, they don't want to spend any. So they open a business as an owner operator, but they only use load board 1, 2, 3 or those free load boards that are out there. That's not going to help you. Those companies are taking loads off of the DAT or truck stop, and they're posting those same loads on their boards, and that's why it's free. And then they're charging advertisers for fees. So, those things never worked for me.
Yeah, I've been using the truck stop mobile, and actually has good information. I don't know if you know, Russell, but they've actually updated their whole system. It used to be crappy. They did some update to it, and it was hard to read and very inconvenient. But they've actually revamped that one more time, and now it's way better now.
Well, I will say this: I used Internet Truck Stop for years. That was my go-to, and everybody in our office, their kind of go-to, including Doty, was DAT. And I'm a creature of habit. It was hard for me to make that switch because I was very familiar until, was it early this year, Ray? Or it was early this year. They changed the format of a lot of things. I even called them because I said, you know what? I've used you guys for so many years and I book a lot of freight from your, from Truck Stop. And this is horrible, especially the mobile, and you're off or on call and I'm using my mobile device and their mobile app. It was terrible. And I just hated the changes so much. I started using DAT and I got myself familiar. And then Ray and I were talking, and he was using the truck stop. And I do know that, Ray, I think you mentioned it to me before, it's gotten better. And I still have it. I never got rid of it. But maybe I need to familiarize myself a little bit more because I didn't know. I know they did some changes to make it better. I just haven't. I've gotten used to for a DAT.
Yeah, DAT's got their mobile one or DAT1 app now for your phone too. So if you do have a mobile device, it's better than the old DAT, just the DAT load board that they had where you posted your truck out. Are you using the DAT1 app?
That mobile app's the only thing I pretty much use.
But which mobile app is it? Because DAT
it's the DAT1.
Oh, DAT1. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep, just want to make sure that's right. So
it offers a lot more information than the other one did.
Some of it's negotiating skills, Russ. I also, I'm a big fan of just creative dispatch, right? So you can have someone that beats somebody up over $100 over market, but it's also taken in the psychology of it. For instance, when do you want to book ahead versus when do you want to book same day? Right? When freight's up and you can name your rate, I'm going to pinch that guy that needs to get that freight moving that day that, had it roll 2 days and needs to have it leave. As opposed to a market like now, you want to stay ahead of the curve. You don't want to be, majority of the freight's gone by the time the day shows up, right? So you can have some guys same day, but you do want to try to get them 24, 48, 72 hours out. And you can negotiate above market rates then. And a lot of guys still aren't booking and bouncing, on the brokerage side. So if you do have something a couple $100 over rate, they're not going to call you off the load for it. They know they've got their margins in there. If you hammer a guy and you're $1,000 to $1,500 above market, guarantee he's finding another truck and telling the customer to cancel the load.
Well, it's funny you say that because Christian and Joel will tell you, Ian and Joel, and I used to walk through the office some years or months, and I would say, pre-plan, let's go. Everybody needs to be pre-planned. And then months later, I'm walking through there. Why are you pre-planning somebody when this market has changed so much? We need the day of.
Why?
Make them wait for, and then that's the roller coaster of knowing the market. When pre-planning is so important, and areas change that too. When you're in an area, you can pre-plan, and especially when when you're going into another area, that area, etc. But it's funny, Joel. You're probably laughing about it because you've seen
pre-plans.
Pre-plans. I get on his case, pre-plan, and then 3 months later, no pre-plans. Wait till day of. Wait till last minute. Let him get empty. It does change. It changes with the market. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Because I it wasn't you, Joel. It was just the market and where we were and stuff like that. But so what I was saying with California Creech a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, we would wait till day of because do your 34 midweek. And then, you were talking $10,000 to $14,000 loads going east. It's the market.
And you know what I was doing with Lee? I was getting him out of SoCal to Colorado for between $6,000 and $7,000.
He was deadheading back.
Deadheading him all the way back to SoCal for another one. And then because he would be about out of hours and it really wouldn't matter for that turn back, for that load back, I would get him a load back to help, cover fuel, but for the deadhead back, it was just saving so much time. And he was doing, 12 to 14 grand a week
in revenue on 2,000 miles. 2,200 miles.
It ended up being like,
you're right.
A full turn.
30. Yeah. Sorry.
But
2,000 loaded,
cleaning up,
1,800 loaded.
Yeah. He was cleaning up then.
Yeah, we're doing some good numbers out of California last year. I remember that, and now I don't even send me there.
Right.
Yeah.
Last year, the best paying load I saw was it had multiple drops. It was 14 deliveries, but it was paying 15,000 one way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it comes that. Oh, go ahead.
You tried to book that for me.
No, I was just going to say that Tommy on our fleet did one of those right after the market turned, actually. And Tommy's real smart, and he 100% books himself the majority of the time. I know, Austin, you've helped him from time to time, but Tommy did Tina. He goes right to Tina with his loads. She builds them Tommy did I don't know, 15, 20, it was 20 some stops. And it was like 16 grand. And it was easy. And it was a week. He did it in a week. And it wasn't like 3,500 miles. It was like 2,600 miles, but it was a lot. He was busy, but yeah, sometimes you got to think outside the box.
And that goes back to the creative dispatch, right? We talked about same day versus, booking day of. Part of it too. And I know my team hates it when I get in the dispatch. And this past time, when Lois was off for a couple of days, I didn't do it. But every other time I will find drop trailer loads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll book them all day long because, and especially when they got like a 7 or 8 day hold period. And I'll run power only to pick up a trailer. I'll put the other pieces together, but that guy's going to have a banging week. I believe Brian and yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you. So you're booking that drop trailer load.
Yep.
Having a driver go in and drop it and then go out and power only stuff.
Absolutely.
Send someone.
Or do a loadout for 2 weeks, right? And then get back to it when I have it. I know they've got it in a stage yard. Fortunately, both for Dawson as well as for Meadowlark, we both have drop trailer programs, right? We have drop trailer programs, but we also have additional equipment. So if you can find additional equipment and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I understand, Kim, whoever it is, I'm going to pay an extra week on a trailer rent. I'm going to double up on that, but I'm going to put $4,000 extra inside my truck kitty, and it's going to cost me 200 miles. I'm going to do it every day of the week. Yeah. And it would drive my team nuts. And by the way, the worst thing is I would dispatch that and then I'd have them clean it up. Like I'd leave. I'd be like, okay, great. Hey, by the way, these 3 guys need to get back to the trailer. One's in San Antonio and one's in Massachusetts. But that creative dispatch, finding those opportunities is what matters. And the other thing would be go look at the better markets that there are and book yourself a banging piece of freight. Instead of ABC, do CBA, right? Go ahead and find that piece of freight and then find a load to get you there. If you can take it at market, right? It's going to take $1,000 to get to Ohio, but you have a $2,600 next day delivery. Book the 26 in the good area, then find a way to get up to Columbus or find a way to get to where the area is. But having a dispatch and a dispatcher that has years and seasoned experience to understand that in the open deck market, it'll pay tenfold for you. It'll pay fivefold inside of a dry van.
That's so true. Thinking outside the box, being creative. We've done it so many times, Ray and I. Yeah. And it just, especially even in a really bad, tough place and market. And even last week, Ray, Mike was at the office and you got everybody else, or 3 of the guys were gone. Mike was with Kumar taking care of just about everybody. And Ray and I were looking at loads for him to get him home, and nothing made sense. It was cheap. And we came up with a plan, Ray, and it worked out way better than we could have if we, it took a couple short loads, but it worked out. It's thinking outside the box. The one thing I wanted to say about Tommy's, early 60s, really good. He used to be a dispatcher. He's been a broker. He's going to drive 3 more years. Great guy on our fleet. 100% books himself, except for here and there. Austin helps him. I just bought a bunch of step decks, brand new. He got one of them. He runs out west, and we're going into winter. And Tina and him work closely together. He sends his loads into her. He's very good, just like Ray, just like Kevin, Nate, Creech, you got Jim. So he's been, instead of putting full truckloads right now when the flatbed open deck market is not real good, instead of doing that, he's been putting like 4, 5, 6 partials on and bouncing around on these partials. And it's pretty unbelievable. He's figured out a way to get through a bad market, stay in the area that he likes, close to home. He lives out west. Oh, Tommy, you guys know Tommy. He was the one on the show that was talking about the AB5 and stuff in South Dakota. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they put that on hold too.
Go ahead, Christian.
Go ahead. Ray was on.
Oh, I didn't hear Ray.
No, I was just gonna say that I know what some of the stuff that we've done in the past. Me and Russell too is for the longest time Russell was dispatching my truck, right? So one time he booked me a load. It was paying really well, and it was going up to Billings, Montana. And so I go and I get loaded. It was paying really well. It's a full truckload. Paperwork said it was 42,000 pounds, right? Anyways, I get there, back up to the dock. The forklift driver drives into my trailer one time.
I remember this.
Versus out, they come out and give me the paperwork, and I'm like, "Hey, okay." So I go and ask, right? And my light goes from green to red. And red to green, like literally one entering of the trailer. So I'm like, "What's going on here?" So I go in there and ask, and they're like, "Yeah, you're loaded." This is one pallet, and it had five five 5-gallon barrels of oil. And it was paying so well. It's like I'm like, well, the paperwork, my Raycon says it's 40,000 pounds. And say, yeah, well, this is what couldn't fit in that other trailer. So you're the lucky one. You're just taking the different. So,
400 pounds.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
one pallet. Yeah, I
one
remember
pallet. So I called Russell. I said, hey, Russell, I said, this is what's going on. And they gave me the seal in my hand. And he's like, hold on, let me see if I can book you another load. He gets on the load board, books me another load, and I'm going that direction with 2 loads. You know, and getting paid double. You know,
It looked like it kind of looked like that car or that truck train that Ian was showing on the news. That's what I had Ray doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after we drop off the second load that we delivered, that got dropped off first, I go back there and put the seal on there, and drive up to the last place. Sometimes you gotta do stuff like that.
Yeah, just make sure you read the rate confirmation if it says exclusive
in our defense
use or not.
Well, in our defense, Christian, I know to cover our butts, I did call the broker on the first load and let them know there's only 1 pallet and we've secured it. They gave us the seal. Are you good with me putting another load? Because I can't send my driver all the way across the country with just 1 pallet. And it was a young person that was on the other end of the line that we didn't work with. And I mean, they're paying for us to go all the way across the country for a pretty good rate with one. But when I said that, I can't send them all the way across the country with just 1 pallet. They were like, oh, okay. It's okay. You can do it. So
they called me to verify too that's what was going on. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's going on. And they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine with us.
Yep.
Don't need that soon.
I love booking.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
No, you go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just saying I love booking, like you said, that CBA. Like I love looking for, especially with our customer stuff, looking for good loads, saying I'll get that covered. Don't worry about it. I got that, and getting my guys there. That's one of my.
That's
favorite
a great way.
to dispatch.
Yeah. It is, especially in this market, because you find that freight, or like you said, that customer freight that needs to move. And so we do that in our customer out of Ohio when she's got those weekend runs. We just know she's got to get to Ohio on Friday. So how do we get there? And if you have 2 or 3 days to plan it, and then you start your CBA that direction, like you carry it on afterwards, it's okay, especially in the pre-book era that we're in now, right? Same day, and the market's hot. I'm just booking wherever the trucks are going to go.
Yeah. Well, wow, what a great conversation. We're going to get on to, we've got a little time left, so let's get on to trucking questions with Kumar. But before we do, I would like, Creech, your wife is in the truck with you and she's listening to the show right now. You want to introduce her?
Babe, you want to unmute your mic? So yeah, my wife's coming out with me for the next 2 weeks. Her name's Alicia. We've got the second dog on the truck as well.
Sound thrilled.
At the moment, we're heading down to
Pendergrass,
Georgia, but looking like we're going to miss our appointment.
Yeah. So Alicia, welcome to the show. I'm sure you.
Thank you.
I think you've probably watched or listened before. Now that the creature is a star. We like having him on. He's been great since day one, and that's kind of how it happens. But nice meeting you, or nice talking to you, Alicia. Welcome to the Talkin Truckin.
Thank you.
So Joel,
what's up?
Are you ready?
Ready.
Oh wait, before we get into that, real quick, Christian's got something he was going to go over. I didn't have it on my notes, Christian, so I almost forgot.
No, you're good. No, you're fine.
So we'll get right into it. We got time.
And it's not much, but can you guys see the road trip on there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was for you, Russ, just because you're on the road 30 days. So a while back, we took a look at, post-pandemic, what is it that, fuel surcharge is doing, what are rates doing? So we just have a little journey here through fuel surcharge and rates. This is just pulled up from DAT today. Load spot posts are down 48% year over year, 15 week over week, and 9 month over month. At the same time, we have the truck spot posts that are up 16% year over year. So that's a pretty big flip when you have the truck posts that are increased year over year and the spot load posts that are decreased, right? That's almost a 60% turnaround, which means that you're going to be making more calls to get anywhere close to the same revenue.
So just to clarify for drivers that may not understand this, Christian,
okay,
spot load posts are loads. That's volume that are posted out there on DAT or truck stop.
Yep.
Yep. So you've got a decrease in that, and you've got an increase in trucks that are being posted empty.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And what that is equated to is an average of about 12% decrease in the rates for both van and reefer, which you say, well, that's not bad. If there's a 60% exchange in the market, it's not bad that I'm only losing 12% of my rates. But when you look at that bottom line, it's fuel prices. And year over year, we've had a 50%, 47.5% increase in fuel, right? So you'll start talking about what kind of increase in fuel we've had. Well, that 12% loss isn't a 12% loss. It's significant loss on top of the fuel surcharge or the fuel that you're paying. Now you'll say, well, we have fuel surcharge. You're right, we do. And I would think that for guys with super economic trucks, it may cover that fuel loss. And now you're only looking at a 10 or 15% loss on your truck. But that 10% or 15% loss on your truck is not accounting to the other costs that your business has accrued. Go buy a trailer a year and a half ago versus now.
Yeah.
Go buy a truck a year and a half ago versus now. So guys that are getting into the market, it's a lot slimmer. It's even more important to have a Russ or a Mike in your pocket to try to make up for that lost ground. So this way they can earn that back. It's even more important to have a partner that has drop trailer, that has good, reliable equipment, because every day you're down, it's going to hit you hard. This is just assuming the same loads and the same freight is picked up. It's not talking about occupancy or vacancies or repairs. All of those costs, it's a multiplying factor. All of those costs are on top of this. So this is just DAT information. It's not taking any other load boards, but we know that they're fairly large.
So before you go on, Christian, I love that you brought this up. Can you go back?
Absolutely, Russ. Anything for you?
When I hear go Jets, when I hear drivers a lot, ask, and it's a reasonable question. Fuel's $5 a gallon. Why is the freight dropped? This is exactly why. If you look at the top, when you've got less posts of equipment or of loads and more posts of empty trucks, that's what's doing it. That's what's exactly why the fuels went up and the price of the freight has not.
Yep. And you can't gamble with scared money. And unfortunately, when people get scared, like, well, I better take 900 because I may not find anything at all.
That's
warn me or whatever.
Could I ask you something too, Christian? I was going to ask you too. So I've been, I follow a lot of truck drivers on YouTube, right? There's a lot of guys that video their whole lives and they put it up on YouTube. Yep. And I'm starting to see a lot of the videos with titles such as "Truck driving sucks" or "I'm out, I'm done, I quit." You see all these videos that are popping up now. Now, do you think that this is in relation to what you're talking about right here?
I would think it's in relation to a lot of things. I'm going to be honest. It is a hard market. I don't believe in lying to anybody. I can say, oh, no, they probably haven't been in the business a while. If they were around in 2008, that was bad. It's going to get bad again, guys. But the good news is it's not new to transportation. There's always been issues. We have, I believe, a broken supply chain that I'm not sure professionals can fix in the short term because we have purchasing issues and we have a flooded cash flow market from Uncle Sam writing checks that they shouldn't. We have hedging inflation on elderly. The good news is we have to work because the bad news is everything else is going up in our cost of goods, right? If you want a number one salesman, find a guy that has a really high car payment because he's got to make that payment. So I look at truck drivers and our industry a lot the same. If you've got a lot of big payments, you've got to work hard for it. And typically that would mean successful. We're talking about $14,000 and $20,000 weeks a year ago. What did we do with that money? Were we smart with it? Did we invest it? Did we make sure that we just didn't pay taxes on it and go waste it on something? So I think
we talked about that last year on this show during the last summer that, I know you did, I know I did, Doty did. And Ray, you did too. It was about making hay when the sun was shining and where did you blow the hay? I've seen guys do it. I see guys, Ray, one in particular I'm talking about, he's a really good friend of ours. And, he made a ton of money and blew it all. And
more than me.
And he's hurting. The very, very fortunate thing for this certain person is that he has been the luckiest guy I've ever known with truck repairs, hasn't he, Ray? That guy has just been able to do PMs and roll for the last 2.5 years. He has never had an incident with his truck, other than normal maintenance and stuff. And if you throw that in the mix, he'd be out of business right now.
Yeah, we've never had a measurement where trailer prices 5 years later are $15,000 more. Never in the history of trucking has that happened, that we've had such a supply issue because we shut all these manufacturers down. And then, by the way, then we changed tariffs on materials and we have aluminum cost increase and everything else. Is it a scary market? Yeah, it's rough. Can we make money? Yeah, let's just go to work and make enough, because when it does turn around and your assets are paid off, then you reap the benefit. But you need to have a fleet replacement program. You need to have experienced people inside the office that you're working with. If you're working with fly-by-night dispatch services, I'm going to tell you right now, you're feeling the pain. Most importantly, you talk about what these guys are that are complaining about things. I'm going to get right back to that in a minute, Ray, about the guys that are on YouTube that are, I'm done, I'm throwing in, this is my last mile, right? But here is what we have is it's the sum of the cent per mile changes in reefers and dry vans in excess to where fuel is. And remember, we talked about the X where it's crossing, right? We took all these gains. These are all of our benefits, right? We had a couple lower months of dry van, then month over month changes were increased. And it was every month we're adding. So if we were here and it was 2 months later, we're making 15 cents more a mile. And then 12 on top of it, we're making 24, 25 cents a mile, right? So we took advantage of this market for a long period of time. Well, there's a market correction going on, just like the stock market, right? Except the stock market, not only is our cost going down, our rates going down, but the cost is going up. This was as of February last year. I tried to put it into a graph, and apparently I forgot how to use pivot tables quickly, and I didn't want to be late to the show. But this is just a real printout. This is the information that's behind it. If you look in April of 2021, the van cent per mile for DAT was $2.59. Then it was $2.69, then $2.68, $2.73, $2.76, $2.84, $2.87, got up to $3, $3.10. And then in January, we start to see that first quarter fall off. We had first quarter reporting news about a negative GDP. We had a receding economy and at least a lot of warehouses getting full. And you saw that $3 a mile drip down to $2.45. You're thinking, this isn't bad. This is only 15 cents less than I made in April 21. Well, unless you go over here to this bar and it tells you what fuel surcharge is. And we know that fuel surcharge cents is every 1 cent on this scale changes 5 cents at the pump. So it's not, it was at 37 cents. It's now I'm showing 78 for average for October through DAT. It's 70 cents now on a standard fuel surcharge. Depends on your rating scale. So give or take 5 cents. It doesn't matter because the delta is the same. If I'm off 8 cents here and it's 70, it means that I'm off 8 cents here as well and it's lower. So the difference is at $2.59 back in April of 21, fuel was 37 cents. For fuel surcharge.
After and now fuel surcharge, you're at $2.22.
Yeah,
absolutely. And now look at we're $1.66. Yeah. That's the conversion rate, right?
That's your line haul.
Yep.
And then if you book that load at the beginning of the week,
fuel surcharge.
Yeah, and then if you book the load at the beginning of the week during what's it called, during the dollar change on the fuel at the pump, yep. You're going to get the lower end of that fuel surcharge. Too, especially
that is correct
on a Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, you're right. So this is what the fuel looked like. This is the diesel cost since October of 2021, and it looks pretty bad, right? And this is what it looks like elongated. 361 back in October, and now we're at 518. Give me a break. Now we saw similar patterns to this in roughly 2008 when I brought up all the fuel for lots and lots of history. The last time I was on here, when I brought everything from like 1986 to current, right? So we've seen this flux. What we haven't seen, right, is because we didn't have the data, would be what's the difference between the contract rate and the spot rate. Those guys that you're talking about online may operate in spot market only, and they may not have experienced dispatchers. If you're only in the spot market, you want experienced dispatchers that have navigated similar waters before. I'd never go whitewater rafting on the worst rapids in the world. And this guy's like, it's my first day. I just got this helmet. It's the same thing with trucking. Let's look at this. So we took advantage of the market up and through February. This orange line here represents what the spot market rates are. This blue line is what the contract rates are. Right?
Yeah.
Contract rates have actually continued to rise.
Flipped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we know this conversion. The bad news is in this conversion, we also have fuel that went up. So fuel cost is proportional to the rates of contract freight, and they're not getting hurt, which is why you all end up putting it on customer freight. We have customer freight. We say, this is where you need to be. And I'm arguing till I'm blue in the face. Oh, I didn't have a great paycheck last week. Pull me off this freight. I'm thinking, okay, well, if we look at it, it's not the freight's issue, right? You broke down one day, and that last paycheck was yours. Get back on the freaking customer freight.
Yeah, Joel's laughing because we have a guy that's brand new, Of course, he
Oh,
worked
I
here
was like-
before. Or was that you, Mike? Well, you're laughing because of the same reason. He doesn't. So he had a good week in a bad market, but he stayed on customer freight, and then goes home today and says, "Well, I don't know if I want to do this anymore." Well, he's only been here a few weeks. I don't know if I want to do this because I'd rather just run spot market freight. And we're like, really? Because the customer freight might not be in the areas he's comfortable with. Well, listen, go ahead and go bankrupt in the areas you're comfortable with, because that's how it is.
Absolutely. It's that pie that we always used to talk about is so much more relevant now, right? And I don't care where you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable with watching somebody take your mortgage, the deed to your property? Because that is the real difference right now. If you have people telling you, hey, I can make you money, and they give you a specific number, right? I can do $6,500 to $7,500 on this every single week. Your money's going to be now 40, not 50% of that because of fuel rust. That's your 40% of that after, and then have a truck payment. You're good. But if you're not, I mean, look at this. The data shows that, we were at 360 and we're at 283, and fuel's increased, and it doesn't get as bad on dry van, right? But the difference is you're also paying for diesel inside of the reefer fuel, but it gets from 310 down to 245, and you're looking, and they're still getting almost, $3.15 in a contract market. What that's telling you, if your driver's listening, and I don't know who you are, I don't know the relationship, but if you're listening and they're telling you to get on customer freight, it's because the customer freight's the blue line. And I don't know if you know, but that means there's more money here. If your driver's watching, don't end up living down here. If you have an experienced dispatcher, you're going to get 280, 290, but you're definitely not getting 315 out of the market.
That's what's going to save you. That'll save you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's if, and guys don't understand what an OR is. It's called an operating ratio. What it means is, how much money do I have to spend to make $1? How many pennies to make $1, or how many dollars to make 100? Successful businesses might have an 80 OR. It means I got to spend $80 to make 100. It means I have a $20 net profit, right? If we've lost 30% of the market share, or a 50% fuel increase, and then a 15% recession in our rates, we went from heavily, largely wildly profitable to just mildly successful. And if you make a bonehead move and say, I don't really like that, or I don't want to do this, all of a sudden, all you're doing is put yourself in turmoil. It's not going to hurt Russ, Mike, Joel, Christian as much, because I'm not the one that they're coming to repossess the truck with. And I say this because a lot of people need to hear it. And I'm thankful that a lot of guys in my fleet, and Russ, I know in your fleet too, will come to you and have conversations when they're not as successful. But staying home doesn't help. Look at your fuel costs. Do what Ray does. Look at the speed of which you're traveling, and it all matters. It all matters. So,
then one of the other factors that we can also consider too is, how long have you been in business? When did you purchase your trucks? If they're on credit, did you buy the $90,000 truck that was only $40,000, and now the market's changing? You're kind of under that pressure as well. There's a lot of factors.
You're penned in.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I had a great conversation earlier this week, and they were talking about owner operator conversions and how the market's going. And I respect this individual a lot. And they said, what do you think about an owner operator fleet? I said, I think it's great for guys that have the right opportunity and credit to get into it. However, I feel like there's a tremendous upswing that will benefit some company drivers. And a lot of that is based off of prime rate, right? A lot of it's based off of interest rates. You're not getting a 2.9% interest rate. You're getting a 7.5. What that means for the term of a truck, like Ray said, if you're buying a $70,000 truck, you're not paying it back at $82,000 in a year and a half anymore, right? If you wanted to accelerate your payments, there's an extra $20,000 you have to add on to that. So be sure you know what you're getting into.
Plus, you're buying, kind of mileage. You're buying that truck at an inflated price, almost double from a year and a half ago. So
not only that, if you're an owner operator, you have to look at it like you're running a business, because you are. If you're just looking at it like a job, forget it. Go get a job. You're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you shrink that pie that Christian's talking about, you won't pull this load because of this. You won't go here because of this. Now you're putting yourself even in a worse position.
Right.
And then come payday, you're pointing the finger at everybody else but the mirror. I ain't got nothing for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just be open to hear what everyone has to say. And it's funny because, and Chris came into my office earlier today and said, hey man, how'd I handle that call? And that's the best thing you can hear from an employee. How did I handle that call? It means he cares about how it was perceived on the other side of the line. And I told him, I said, I think that, and I was honest with him. I said, I think if we had more regular calls, we might not have had to have that call. But I said, you handled it brilliant. He let the driver unpack what his concerns were. He then asked him, he said, basically said, hey, here's some of the issues that we're seeing. If you can go out further and stretch your legs further, you'll make more money. If you can be in Georgia on Friday and you're open to working a weekend periodically, it opens up a whole new world. So a lot of it is making sure that it's a two-way street. We can't have actions without consequences, and we cannot have conversations that are not solution-based. And so when you're talking to Russ or Mike or Ian or anybody inside the office or Austin, ask them, is there anything I should be doing that other guy's doing to be more successful than I am? And by the way, if you're doing a great job like Ray, they might say speed up a little bit so we can get another load on. No, but be ready for honest feedback. And if you're in a dispatch chair, ask guys, hey man, you're the third bottom performer in the fleet and you have the tools and capability and the equipment to be on the top. Would you like to know why? And at the end of the day, if you do a 10 or 15% increase in your revenue because you're communicating with your dispatcher, it all goes into your pocket as an owner operator. It's your benefit.
Anytime they come to me on payday with I didn't make this, or why, I can always go back and pinpoint why. Let's go back and look. I can go back and pinpoint why you didn't make what you thought you would, or what, you know what I mean? I can always go back no matter what and pinpoint why they didn't hit the mark. Or I had a guy go home 350 miles out of route when fuel is at its highest, when 90 cents a mile you're paying to drive the truck.
Right.
And couldn't understand. I said, that cost you about $300 or more out of pocket to go home, right? Like for a 10-hour break, you paid $300 to go home for the night. And he could not comprehend that. What do you mean? I paid $300 to go? You paid $300 to go home for the night. That's what it costs you.
Yep.
It's that simple.
It is. You guys are right.
Like that.
Mike and I have this conversation almost daily. And it is, I know exactly who he's talking about, and he would do that and then complain about his paycheck. And really it was all in fuel. That was where it was at. And he still made money. Mike, I got to say, the dude still made money, a living.
Yeah.
But yeah, could have been so much better. Christian, that was the longest 3 minutes I think you've ever presented.
I will keep the next comment that I want to say to myself.
I love it.
Well,
that was
partially
great,
my fault because I
no,
threw some
that
more
was great.
information.
No,
in
I
there.
love that. That was a great.
Very informative. Yeah, I love it when you get on those tangents. The only thing I miss about it, Christian, is the heavy set guy on the teeter totter at the end.
It's funny you said that. I said I was going to put that in for us, but I was more upset that the pivot table wasn't there to show everything. So the charts.
Well, listen, we got about 10 minutes, guys. Joel, let's run through some questions with Kumar. I'll take the drivers. Who wants Kumar?
I got Kumar. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I don't go to Massachusetts. All right.
Massachusetts.
All right.
Massachusetts.
Real quick. Friday night, Philly versus Houston, Game 1 World Series. Don't miss it. Saturday, Ohio State at Penn State. That's a noon game. And don't forget the world's largest cocktail party in Jacksonville, 3:30. That is Florida versus Georgia. Stay tuned for that.
And there you have it.
Questions with Kumar. First, this day in history, 10/26/1825, the Erie Canal between the Hudson River and Lake Erie opens. Just wanted you to know that. Now, here we go. Questions with Kumar. Question number 1. Can you hear me, Kumar?
I can hear you.
All right.
Kevin, Nate, Jim, Creech, Ray.
I'm not alive.
100 years experience or more collectively. Let's go. Let's beat them.
Yeah, probably could have got better questions. 4 weeks. You're right.
Uh-oh.
Here we are.
I'm in trouble.
Question 1. What is a splitter? Is it A? Let me get my glasses. Is it a device used for e-logs? Is it B, a tool used to adjust your fuel mileage? Is it C, a device used to switch from high gear to low gear, vice versa? Or is it D, a divider inside the trailer to separate loads for multi-stops? What do you say?
What do you think, Kumar?
What's gonna have to go with C on this one.
What's C?
With C, a device used to switch from high gear to low gear. That one?
You sure? You sure about that?
I think
Kumar?
so. I'm sure. I'm sure. Definitely sure now.
Drivers, is he right?
Yeah, it's C, although it could also be A with the new E-log rule.
Well, that's a split, not a splitter.
It could be a pitch too.
But anyway, that's right.
All right, that is correct.
One for Kumar.
One for Kumar. Kumar, question 2. Which of the following is a key steering component? Is it A, a bearing plate? Is it B, a gearbox? Is it C, a torque rod? Or is it D, a leaf spring? What is it? Which of the following is a key steering component?
Can you say B again?
B is gearbox.
Yeah, that one.
He goes with gearbox. What do you say, Highwayman?
Gearbox.
Gearbox.
Yep.
All right, 2-0.
Look at Kumar nailing them.
I know,
Did
getting
you?
back for the-
Are these repeat questions from another past
I
show,
was on the
Joel?
road,
Oh, you won your
we-
Jets
we
game.
didn't learn it the
That-
first time. We haven't learned it the second time. The next week, questions with Carol. All right. Question number 3. By the way, Kumar, what do you call a trucker in a suit and tie?
I don't know what.
The defendant. Question number 3.
I'm gonna say Henry Albert.
Yeah, me too.
There you go.
I thought the same thing.
Right here.
By the way, we got to Christian. We got to get Henry back on soon.
Yes. Now that we're having the show again, let's do it.
Yeah.
You probably get these right too. Question 3. How long does it take a standard 53-foot trailer to clear a double railroad track? We want to go with A, 15 seconds, B, 5 seconds, C, 30 seconds, or D, none. About how long? Double
15
railroad tracks.
15 seconds.
Yeah, you've done this
What
before.
was the question?
How long does it take a standard rig to clear a double railroad track?
How fast is he going?
Right. How'd you know that, Kumar?
I just visualized it.
All right.
So what are the answers
Do
again,
you
Joel?
remember? We've had this question before.
15, yeah, a year ago, 15 seconds, 5 seconds, 30 seconds, or none.
And it created a lot of controversy then too.
I said 30 seconds last time, so I'm going with
But you said
15 this
15.
5 seconds?
Was I a part of the
This
show?
is
Because
not
I don't
working.
remember any of this.
I think yes, you were.
Thank you.
Okay,
You,
great.
you started like in
Should I ask
show
you?
3 or something.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4. What is the
Wait, hold on. Tell me I'm right.
You're right.
Okay.
All right. Question
Yeah,
4.
I
Wow.
was gonna say this. Yeah, I was gonna say
He's
right.
going for the sweep.
What is the amber colored light or that is down the driver's side of your trailer toward the bottom? Is it A, your half-hour brake signal, B, your slack adjuster signal, C, your airbag signal, or D, your ABS signal?
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. What is the amber colored light for that is down the driver's side of your trailer toward the bottom?
Okay, can you repeat the answers again?
Is it your half-hour brake signal? Is it your slack adjuster signal? Is it your airbag signal? Or is it your ABS signal?
Let's go with ABS signal.
Do you know what ABS stands for?
All big snouts.
Seriously, if you can't, he doesn't get this
no,
one.
time out. I'm with Russ. If you
He's
can't
gotta
tell me
get
what
this.
ABS stands
Brake
for, you
system,
don't get it.
automatic brake system.
Sure about that?
Yeah, you sure?
All right, you're right again.
Yeah. Joel let him off the hook, man. He was sweating when he had that right.
Listen, I wrote this question probably last year when me and Joel were going over questions. And I think, didn't we get Kumar on the half-hour brake signal? Or I don't remember.
No
but
way. No way.
I thought that
I'm
was
not
the
that
funniest
dumb.
answer. That's
he didn't
lights
say
up.
he's not dumb. He said he's not that
Yeah,
dumb.
it lights up when it's time to take your half-hour break. It's your anti-lock brakes.
All right, going for the sweep. Here we go. Question 5.
Automatic brake system.
If you put new recaps all the way around your truck but fail a DOT inspection, why? A, not enough air. B, too low of tread. C, not allowed to put recaps on steers. D, your DOT officer doesn't like your company.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. If you put new recaps all the way around your truck but fail a DOT inspection, why is that? Is it A, not enough air, too low of tread, not allowed to put recaps on steers, the DOT officer doesn't like your company?
Got me on this one.
So think
it's
about
C.
it.
Oh, I didn't think about it. Sorry.
What was C?
See what
Not
steer
allowed to
tires.
put recaps on steers.
Well, you got that one, Kumar.
I did.
I'm going to give it to you. Yeah.
Clean
He wasn't sure what it was.
Clean
Yeah.
sweep. Drivers didn't even have to give him any input. But
All right. Well,
I
thanks
was
for
going to say,
best
though,
of questions.
there's a little more controversy on that because it's recaps. I was going to say, I thought he was going to answer there's not enough air in it. Because if there was not enough air in a tire, you could fail. But yeah, it steers. You're right, Kumar.
You know, I've heard some.
right.
Do you
I've
know
heard-
why?
No.
Why?
Learn how to put
Yeah, because you
recaps
can't
on.
put you can't put recaps on steers.
I was asking Kumar.
Oh,
Yeah. Can't put recaps on steers. I know that.
Say, one time I was asking I was looking at some tires, right, and some guy was trying to sell me some recaps for my drives, right, and I told him, I said, no, I don't want no recaps on my drives, you know, I don't do recaps. And he's like, oh well, you know, recaps nowadays are just as good, if not better than virgin rubber. And I'm like, okay, then why can't we put them on steers?
yeah.
And he just stayed quiet. He looked pretty blown away. Like, that was, why'd you ask me that question?
It's kind of like guys that say, well, you can't put your steers on your drive tires. You won't go anywhere. And you can't control the direction that you've got in the snow. Well, then why do they put them on the steer axle?
Yeah. And my favorite, those super single tires, I bet you they handle really horribly in the snow. I'm like, yeah, they handle just the same as your duals.
Yeah, except they're 10% more fuel efficient.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why Ray runs them.
Yeah.
But
I used to have them.
anyway, what a great show. It was a really good conversation. What was I gonna say? I will pay $50 for the sweep to St. Jude's this week
Nice.
since I took the drivers. So Kumar, write it down.
We're writing it down.
That's
Yeah.
great. And Kumar, if this shows you nothing, how many questions you get wrong, because the show usually lasts an extra 15 minutes with questions with Kumar. So
Hey, Kumar.
that's a good backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one. Good job.
Yeah, good job, Kumar. Even though he
Kumar.
still doesn't know what ABS stands for, he's trying to
Anti-lock brake.
Yeah.
system.
I was like, wow. Put me
That's
down
fine.
for 25 too, Kumar, because you didn't give any driver a chance to answer any of these questions.
There you go. There you
Put
go.
me down
Kevin?
for 25.
Kevin, anybody else?
I'll do another 25.
There you
There it
go.
is.
Hold on,
For
hold
St.
on.
Jude's. Hey, it's for kids.
Can't leave me out by myself. I guess I better.
Jim's
There you
in.
go.
There you go.
Hey,
Mike,
we didn't answer
is
it. We
this
didn't answer
fine?
a single question. It's fair.
All right. All right.
Mike's in. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm in.
Listen, guys, great show. Have a great week. Drivers, our highwaymen, be safe. We'll see you next week. And with that, go Jets, go Guardians, and go Cavaliers.
Yes.